Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. It's 11:30 a.m. and we're here to continue the discussion of the opioid settlement agreement.
Fabulous.
Now we'll turn it over to our grants administrator.
Perfect. So I appreciate you guys taking the pause and letting me look into this and kind of see what it is and how we can bring the funding back into the county for the county's benefits. So as you're aware, there's the opioid settlements that have multiple pharmaceutical companies that have settled through that. And the last, I believe we have 7 that are out there. We have, because originally when this started, it was a pretty onerous process of reporting and tracking and all of those things. So we had assigned ours over to Panhandle Health, that very first one in 2021. So Panhandle Health has been managing those funds plus what they received from the opioid settlement. And then we have to apply to them to receive funding back into the county. They do some of their own outreach just by nature of, going out and doing some of the school education, the vending machines that were set up. They do different things through there. But for us to use it, like for our RISE conference that we do every year for our drug court, we have to apply for those. That first year it was pretty easy because they did grant applications every quarter. They've now locked it down to once a year, and you have to plan that in advance. So when you apply for that opioid settlement funding through the Panhandle to use, you have to apply for the next fiscal year, which basically, like for the RISE conference, we would have to be planning 2 years ahead. And RISE does not have 2 years ahead for a conference already planned out. And so it has become a bit of a hurdle for us to be able to use it efficiently for our county's use. And so the conversation, and I'm hoping that you guys are okay with, is that we bring all that money back into the county. The first step is the Purdue, which is, in theory, it's the last one. They have reached an agreement on their bankruptcy. The Purdue Pharma has been bankrupted, and so there was an agreement on that bankruptcy settlement to do the opioid. So they funded that, and that is what has come down and what this agreement is about that was brought up before that I asked for pause. So that's the signing on to the Purdue agreement. If we bring that in-house, then we would manage those funds directly. They would not go to Panhandle. Now, Panhandle already does receive that. So 100% of the money that's coming into the state, 40% the state maintains, 20% is for admin, and 40% goes out to the different entitled counties, like our county, the cities, and the health districts.
20% is admin?
Yeah, so they do. It's like a set aside, if I'm reading this right, there's a set aside for legal. So because there's some legal oversight from the state side on how they manage the funds and making sure that that's all done. In the settlement side, they have like a 20% set aside to make sure that those are handled appropriately in legal review, and they pay for that out of that. And then that other 40% is given out to the entities within the state. The state funds is overseen, or the advisory board is the Idaho Behavioral Health Council. And so they work on how that's handled throughout the state distribution. For locally, we do not have to have a board. The local governments do not necessarily have a board, but we have an advantage is that we have the ILET board. And so we've already been working with opioid money. We have legal counsel, we have Panhandle Health representatives, we have health and welfare and statewide representatives that are also in communication with behavioral health. So we have a board that understands how this is being handled statewide, so that we know that we're doing it in-house as well. The guidance on, go ahead.
How much funding are we talking about?
So
you don't know until they start settling. It's a large amount. I'm trying to remember what the Kroger one was.
So for the Purdue, Idaho received $24 million. And this is a calculation that I don't know that I've done it correctly, but 40% of that $24 million is $9.6 million that's coming out to the communities. Shoshone County has a 1.284109134% of that 40% that comes to us. So depending how it's distributed, whether it's annually over the next 15 years or if they do a lump sum or whatever, we'll get 1.28 blah 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 percent of that 9.6 million that comes down.
And what did you come out with?
In theory, that's $123,000 from that one.
Okay. And
Give
that
or
could be
take.
over 15 years.
Yes, they may spread it out over 15 years and do a deposit every year, or because this one is a bankruptcy settlement, it may come in one. Don't know. It's the same as the other ones. So was the Walgreens, one of the other funds, they actually paid 3 years at a time. And, so each fund pays a little bit different. They may do advance, they may do annual, they may do a lump sum. And so that's the closest guess I can get on what we potentially could receive just from the Purdue. Then the next step would be asking permission to proceed with getting that funding reallocated to us and withdrawing it from Panhandle's administration so that we have the opportunity for those other funds to come back into the county to be managed.
And that's all of them? That'd be
All of them.
not just this
Correct.
lawsuit?
Correct.
Would be the rest of it?
This one we have to settle on, have to decide, sign on for or not before the end of this month.
Okay.
And then we have to go on and accept that. And that would be through the clerk's office. Timmy is the contact for that, and she has the portal through, there's a name and I never remember it. So there's two different entities that
Robidoux
work.
or
Yeah, it starts with an R. It's
Close.
it's an odd name.
Robidoux.
Are there other counties doing the same thing we are?
There are a couple that are starting. City of Coeur d'Alene, yes, Rubris. So I believe the city of Coeur d'Alene has pulled theirs back. I have a contact there to work with them on how they're using it. When I talk to the Attorney General's office, they have seen others start to pull it back because they have simplified the process through the years. And so that was one of the in-depth conversations I had was, okay, how do we do this? And so it is an online portal now, and it's much easier. It's just a 5 or 6 step process. And we already use Computer Arts that tracks that in detail. And then again, through our board with the ILED board that could be that advisory group to you on making sure that we're using that funding appropriately. And with the Exhibit A, I think is what it's called, there is a specific set of rules that guides how you can use those funds. And it has to be, Exhibit A, the approved uses. So this is our guide, and that has not changed since the beginning of this.
So basically, we can only do the funds that are coming available, like this Kroger. Is it Kroger?
Purdue.
Purdue.
Kroger was last year.
Okay. So Purdue, we can do Purdue, but we can't go back and do Kroger.
We can pull any funds that will be coming in the future. So it was over an 18 or 20 year, this settlement.
Okay, so
we're 3 years into it. So any future funding that's coming from any of the other settlements, if we pull that back from Panhandle, we will receive all that future funding. Panhandle has what they have, and that I don't believe any of that would come back to us since we assigned it to them. But anything future will be coming to us from all of the other settlements that we signed on for, which are all of them. And our first deposit.
And what is it going to be now? What is this? What as a county are we going to be using this for?
So this is opioid abatement strategies. The first proposed use for this is we have Jen's position. And so this, through this Exhibit A, is an approved use to be able to fund her position for any of those clients coming in that have opioid related uses. And that's almost all of them have that. And so that would be the sustainability for her position to continue to fund that outside the budget, as well as provide those services, the counseling and drug and alcohol services for drug court, our jail, and the ILED program.
Okay. And my other question is looking at that program, how successful has it been, and how many people have we served over the term that we've started the program?
Absolutely. So Jen started this January will be 2 years.
Okay.
So in the year and a half of clients, we have graduated 2. We are set to graduate the 3rd, specific to ILED. And that's only that felony side of the program. We also realized early on in the program that this is set up nicely to help with probation. So we have graduated 20 through, and this is some lengthy. It's not like a month or two programs. These are 6-month plus programs, or whatever drug court tells them that they need to do. I want to say it's 20. I can get you those numbers. We currently have 15 enrolled active participants. We have 5 different curriculum: the cognitive behavioral therapy, codependent therapy. There's 5 curriculum for drug and alcohol, plus substance use and mental health disorders. What Jen also has been doing is evaluations at the jail. And so they're able to get those mental health evaluations quicker so that they can be processed through the jail. So that's something that the prosecution or the defense has been contacting her, and she does these evaluations as times allow. And that gets them through there quicker. What we've done with ILED and the misdemeanors is we've been working on the recidivism rate, which is extremely costly. It's hard to pin an exact dollar on it, but some of the, just an easy number that seems to be pretty accepted is when you're looking at the felony cases, each one that doesn't recidivate is about a $50,000 savings for the county. And so we've graduated 3 people. Excuse me. The typical success rate across the state for these diversion programs, they're excited when they can get 30%. We're sitting at 60, almost 70% success rate with ours. Because we've had 7 participants and only 2 not complete the program. Gosh, we might be up more. See, we graduated 2. We just got 3 more. Yes. 7, sorry. Had to think about that because we just had 3 more sign on to the program, and they have already made a difference. So of those that graduated, they changed their behaviors. They changed the people they're hanging with. There has been no rearrests for any of those. We're just set to graduate another gentleman that had cognitive disabilities plus the drug and alcohol problems, the drug problems. Okay. And he has changed his people he's with. His significant other is now happy to have him in the house. Repairs have been made with family relationships, and so good behavior. So of each of those 3, I'll count this last one. That's in theory 150,000. You said
there's 20 other.
And the misdemeanors,
yes. You're doing that as well.
Yes. And that number's around, depending on which one you look at and how serious, 15 to 25,000 per participant. Over the haul of arrest to court costs that's around what they're looking at.
How much a year does this ILED? How much a year does it cost to run it?
Oh boy. I would have to pull those numbers. Okay. But with salary and benefits, let's see, that's 10, 100. I'm going to say around the $120,000 mark. And that's salary, benefits, and costs for Jen.
And then she's basically the only one that
is funded.
Is funded through that.
Correct.
Okay.
And through the Exhibit A approved uses, she would, again, it would be that. Now, there are some other things, and we've gone through and really looked at what this could be. So worst case scenario, something happens, that the ILED program goes away. Jen finds another job, whatever that might happen, and we don't fill that position. We have multiple other uses that we can put this towards for the county's benefit.
Okay.
For the opioid money. So we've really gone through and looked at, and that's why I circled all these different things in the Exhibit A on what we could be using it for. Okay. And there's a lot of outreach, law enforcement, diversion,
and so
counseling.
So we have at least 15, 20 others, and then she's also doing evaluations over in the jail.
Correct.
And then, okay.
And those evaluations are for free.
Okay.
Other than her time to do it. So again, it's not costing the county or the jail to do those evaluations. And they're pretty in-depth evaluations. Yeah. It takes her by the time she meets with them, types it up, and gets the evaluation done, it's about an 8-hour task.
Okay. And that's probably everybody that's over there that comes in. Basically,
she does several of them a month.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, my next question is, how is this going to affect Panhandle Health, and how's it going to affect the whole, their whole funding? And I know that we have to pay a percentage to Panhandle Health a year. Is that going to
That's separate from this. So
no,
that
it's
is
separate, so we
that's
wouldn't have to
something that
pay
they
more.
do on like the health services and other sides.
Okay.
This is a completely separate pot of money. So I did pull Panhandles, and this is again specific only to the opioid. What we're pulling back is not going to make a significant difference in what they do in this settlement fund realm.
Okay.
It will not affect at all what we sign on for as a county with the services, with their health services that they
Okay.
already do in the community. That's been ongoing and will continue.
Yeah.
This, so last year they had 366,478 for fiscal 24 in expenditures in the opioid settlement only.
Okay.
252,556 went to personnel, 52,211 went to operating, and 61,700 they put back out into the community.
In
So-
our community.
In the regional
Regional
community,
community.
in the
Okay.
Panhandle Health's footprint. And
So-
so that was part of the reasoning, is if we pull that back in, and then we're able to more effectively use the funding in ours.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of good, but they're still going to continue to do that because they currently have
So we're
$2 million still in their settlement pot.
So basically, what we have to do is they were set up to get to get the funding, and we basically go to them for grants to ask to pay for if you'd pay for the classes or whatever we have to do. So, and at that time is what I'm kind of understanding is that the processes and procedures to spend that money was difficult, and then now they've eased up on the reins a little bit, and so now we're able to step in to do that instead of having like a middleman to get our funds,
Correct.
to ask for funds. Okay.
Correct. And we would set this up like we would any grant. And the tracking that we already do, that, the process I have set up for other grants that I already work with, it's not going to be a stretch. It would just be one more fund, and I would take that in as our grants administrator and work with the clerk's office to set up all the ins and outs and do the procedures exactly like we already do.
Madam Clerk, do you have any concerns or any questions? Or
No, I
you
don't. I was just
kind of-
reading that the settlement contemplates that the Sacklers will be paying $6.5 billion in 16 payments over 15 years.
Okay.
So, I mean, substantially, there's some money. I think
Yeah.
maybe last year we got like $17,000 or $18,000 was the payment from Kroger's
Okay.
last year. So
And that went to Panhandle.
Panhandle.
it does, yeah.
Okay.
So it's anybody, well, not anybody, of the piece of the pie of Idaho. So Panhandle gets a piece of the pie, certain cities can get a piece of the pie, counties can get a piece of the pie. So Panhandle will continue to get theirs because we received ours, but then
But
passed
we
it
went-
through. So
Okay.
they had
So
more.
they got more.
So
Yeah.
they'll still continue to get theirs.
Okay.
And then now we'll just be receiving
And we'll be able to manage our money ourselves
Correct.
instead of okay.
Correct.
right.
Yes.
And we'll
All
know
right.
that it's all going right here
Okay.
to our county.
Yes,
No.
and I've had the conversations with Panhandle, because that was when we first started talking about this last year. There was a concern. We don't want to negatively impact our community for the services that Panhandle's already doing.
Exactly.
But they will continue to do that. And when I had the conversations with those groups, they had no qualms about having us take back the managing of our money. And it's not going to impact what they do in Shoshone County for the outreach, the schools, what they're already doing, because they receive their own funding.
Okay. So what do you need us to do right today?
So I have two requests, and you guys can handle it however you would like.
Okay.
First would be to approve signing on for the Purdue, but that we as the county manage that rather than allocating that to Panhandle. And then a second, probably a
Purdue.
Purdue, yep, the Purdue settlement, or pursue bankruptcy settlement, because it's
New
bankruptcy.
National Opioid Settlement Notice.
And then the second piece would approve us pursuing bringing the other funds back into county management. And that I would work with the AG's office and Panhandle Health to have that happen. AG has some things that they do, and Brown Greer is who they manage the distributions statewide, where the Rubrus is the portal to do the paperwork side of it.
So basically bring in the future opioid funds that become available for Shoshone County and
to have those distributions reallocated back to Shoshone County from Panhandle Health.
Okay, now do we need to do any type of resolution on this? Would you want to run that by Ben just to make sure that we?
Not at
Minutes
this
is-
point.
okay.
The next steps, depending on what the state would like to see,
Okay.
and I'll work with Lynn Mize on that, and we've already had the conversation and started some of that work on what that should look like. But with the approval, then if the state needs to see a resolution, we would definitely do that.
Okay.
But so far in the conversations with the AG, it's just a matter of putting in the paperwork and saying, yeah, we want to do this ourselves. But I will make sure that we're in close contact with the AG's office and doing this correctly along the way.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if we did it last year or not. We did a resolution last year.
I don't believe we did. It's been just
Hopefully-
sign the documents and say we accept it.
You probably wrote out better than I did
Okay.
on
G or on the.
the two. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I'll motion to have the county go out and bring back the opioid settlements that are due Shoshone County that are going to Panhandle Health and reallocate them, all the future ones, to Shoshone County instead of Panhandle Health.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I motion to approve to sign the Purdue settlement, the National Opioid Settlement.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Perfect.
Is that it?
That covers my asks. Anything you needed?
Nope.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you for
We'll go in and
Yeah.
meeting adjourned.
All right.